Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is, could the Denver Nuggets be the biggest threat to the Clippers these playoffs? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Please make sure you hit that notification bell to ensure that you get the videos when they come out, because sometimes you're not going to get the videos if you don't hit that notification bell. So make sure you hit that notification bell. Also, check out our Dreamerspro Max. It's an online sports community that we created. It's a place where you go and start basketball discussions, chat live during games, consume original content that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else, and do so many other cool things. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check it out. We have that linked in the description below, and get 7 days of free access. Funny enough, a lot of people have been signing up, so the place is actually starting to boom a lot. So thank you guys for all of you guys who contribute every night, to the platform and that are signing up. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy it. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check that out. Anyway, let me get into this topic here. Okay, last year, a lot of people picked the Clippers to win the entire thing last year, right? A lot of people picked them to come out of the Western Conference, and for good reason. One of the reasons that was because just the year prior, they had taken a full-strength Golden State Warriors team that had Kevin Durant. They took that team to 6 games in the NBA playoffs. I think they were the only ones that were able to push the Golden State Warriors at full strength that far, in a playoff series. Remember Lou Williams, remember Patrick Beverley, remember when Kevin Durant went off. We all remember that kind of thing, and they played a really tough game. They played a really good series against that team. So during the off season, when this same Clippers team that had a bunch of role players that were very, fierce, very competitive, they added a Finals MVP, fresh off a Finals MVP in Kawhi Leonard. And then you added a Paul George, a perennial all-star. You traded away some pieces like Danilo Gallinari and others. You add him to that team. A lot of people felt like, listen, this team got way better, so they should definitely have a chance to come out of the Western Conference, or at least be, title contenders at the very very least. But early in that season, they had injuries. Injuries was one of the major issues. Paul George had 2 shoulder surgeries in the offseason, so he wasn't a part of training camp. He started the season a bit late. But overall, they had a solid season. Overall, right? They had a very good record. I think they were the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, if I'm not mistaken, the number 2 and the number 3 seed in the Western Conference. Their in-town rival, their major rival, in this case, the Los Angeles Lakers, they ended up playing them 4 times in the regular season. They split 2 of those meetings with them. First 2 meetings they took them, one on opening night, one on Christmas Day. Then the Lakers had a very impressive stretch of basketball that they played right before the global pandemic really hit, by beating the Milwaukee Bucks and then turning around and beating the Clippers. And then they also met them again in the Orlando bubble, where they played them, and they ended up getting in that second win. So they ended up splitting their season series with them. Now, throughout the season, Paul George was very inconsistent. He wasn't playing very well. If you go back and look at his numbers, all of his numbers were down. At least his scoring, that was a major drawback for him last season. He wasn't the same player that he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't know if it was the pressure that was kind of getting to him, but he wasn't the same player. Then they went into the Orlando bubble, and for those 8 games in the Orlando bubble, remember there were 8 games because there were 62. I think the NBA had to get to 70 games or 72 games for the TV deals to kick in, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the exact number now. It's a bit foggy. Anyway, he was in those 8 bubble games, and in those 8 bubble games, he was shooting about 25. He was scoring about 25.5 points per game and shooting 50% from the 3. So I said to myself at that time, I said, this is the Paul George I expected to see. He's a very talented player. Like, this is nothing new. He should be able to play at this level, at a level like this. So I wasn't, I was like, okay, this is the guy we expected to see. They had some time off. He was able to, heal up some of those knick-knack injuries that he had. So I said, this is the guy I'm expecting to see. Then when they got into the playoffs, it was a completely different story, as we all know, especially when they got to that second round. They couldn't close out the Denver Nuggets. They just couldn't close out that team, right? They got them up 3-1, and then they just couldn't close out the series. And y'all saw the series, at least the majority of you guys did. And after blowing that 3-1 lead, they were criticized for blowing that lead, justifiably so. They had no business blowing a 3-1 lead to the Denver Nuggets, given the fact that they were up in that series, and they should have lost that series, right? They robbed us from a great Western Conference Finals between themselves and the Lakers. We're never going to know what that looks like because we never saw it, right? We know what it was like. We know what it was like in the regular season, and both of those teams were closely matched, right? But we never got a chance to see that, and they were ridiculed for that. Now in the off season, because the Denver Nuggets exposed some glaring deficiencies that the Clippers had, especially interior defense and their lack of pick and roll defense, which they couldn't play, and also they couldn't make adjustments, and there's so many things. The Clippers were able to address some of the issues that they had last year. One of them was getting some better players and some higher IQ players. So they went and got Serge Ibaka, who was a very important pickup, a big that can stretch the floor, somebody that's led the league in shot blocking, can play great interior defense. So they got him like a rim deterrent. Then they got a very smart player, Nicholas Batum, who seems to be like the Swiss Army knife kind of guy. Kind of does a lot of the things that Draymond Green does for the Golden State Warriors. They picked him up. He was a good addition. Then they picked up a great shooter in Luke Kennard, who I believe is a better replacement than Landry Shamet at the time. A great three-point shooter, but can also move, score going off the dribble, something I didn't see Landry Shamet do a lot of. And they also picked up Rajon Rondo to replace what's his name, Lou Williams, right? So they made some major key additions, but so did the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets made a very important acquisition at the trade deadline by picking up Aaron Gordon from the Orlando Magic. Aaron Gordon is a very athletic shooting guard, small forward, two-way type of player with a lot of length that brings even more depth to the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, listen, they're no joke, right? They're no joke. They are a very, very good team. They're top 5 in offense as far as scoring in the NBA. They're top 5 in field goal percentage. I think they're number 2 or so, or number 3. I'm not sure, but for sure they're top 5 in field goal percentage. They're top 5 in three-point percentage. They're top 5 in assists per game. And they still have a very, 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 very good basketball coach. So the Denver Nuggets are a very good team. And did I mention they still have Nikola Jokic, who is putting up. Listen, Nikola Jokic is having an amazing season. Let's look at his numbers here. He's having an MVP caliber type season. He's averaging, as a center, think about this. The guy's averaging 27 points per game, 11 rebounds, and 8.5 assists as a big. As a center, getting you 8.5 assists, shooting 57% from the field, 42.5% from the three, 86.5% from the free throw line, and also getting you 1.6 steals per game. This is MVP caliber numbers here that you're looking at, guys. These are MVP caliber numbers. Last year, he terrorized the Clippers in that second round. He terrorized Montrezl Harrell. It's one of the reasons the Clippers went out there and got Serge Ibaka, because they could do nothing with this. This dude was the guy that they couldn't handle. Jamal Murray can go off and get 30 points a game. They can kind of weather that. They can kind of offset that. But Nikola Jokic was the matchup that they just didn't have. And it was something that the Lakers had because of Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Anthony Davis, that they can throw these big bodies at him. The Clippers had no such thing. Ivica Zubac could do nothing with him. He wasn't skilled enough to be able to stay in front of Nikola Jokic. So they have these two players, and then you add another guy like this, and they're playing very well. If I look at the Western Conference standings, the Denver Nuggets have been picking up. They won 7 out of their last 10 games. They're now the number 5 seed in the Western Conference, and they're going to be playing the Clippers on Thursday, right? They're going to be playing the Clippers on Thursday. Now, I'm only going to put stock into that game if the Clippers are healthy. If the Clippers are not healthy, like if they're missing 5 key players, then if they lose, I'm not going to draw anything from that. Like, although they beat the Milwaukee Bucks, right? But they were very short-handed and they beat that team. They were making their threes, but like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, oh, okay, they beat the Milwaukee Bucks, or they beat the Denver Nuggets. You think, okay, this team is a team. You're going to take that same team and go into the NBA playoffs and beat teams? Are you high? Like, what are you talking about? You need your best players. Like, so even if they did beat the Denver Nuggets, I wouldn't make too much. It would be a good win, but you need your key pieces, right? You need your key pieces. Last year, this team was a very bad matchup for the Clippers in the playoffs, and this year, I think the matchup with Nikola Jokic is going to cause problems. I don't think the Clippers are going to have a major problem dealing with dominant wing players. I think where they're going to have issues are dealing with teams that have very, very skilled bigs, like Anthony Davis, like the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic, right? If you go and play, if they somehow make it to the NBA Finals and play against the Brooklyn Nets, yes, KD sometimes plays a 4 and a 5, but it's a completely different thing, right? You're like a completely different thing. Now, if these two teams were to meet in the playoffs again, I will pick the Clippers, right? I think the Clippers are better suited this year to beat this team. I don't think they blow that 3-1 lead if they had Rajon Rondo on the roster. I find that to be highly improbable. I find it to be highly unlikely that they go out there and blow that 3-1 lead. But listen, the Denver Nuggets are a tough team. They got better, and there's just no two ways about it. They have everything. I've read you all of their stats as far as the team. I've read you some. I've given you some of the key players that they have. So they're a very good team. They're a very, very good team. So I think they're going to be tough. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about this Denver Nuggets team? Do you think they're a legitimate threat? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoy the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.